This morning, barring a power outage from the thunderstorm that's starting outside, I'm going to talk about how to recover batteries from a laptop battery. This is a battery out of some laptop, I don't know what. It doesn't matter. It contains 8 batteries of these 18650s. And you might wonder, what would you do with a bunch of 18650s? Well, other than using them in projects or whatever, you can also buy something like this, which is a power bank. You fill it up with the batteries, and in this case you can use it to charge your cell phone, or you can use it to power a laptop. This can power anything from 3.3, 5, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 19, and 21 volts at up to 3 amps. Although I can tell you from experience that it will power a power tool. If you set it to 19 volts, you can power something over 3 amps. It doesn't seem to limit the current. We're going to be recovering these batteries using a Dremel tool. You could try to pry this open. I have in the past, but when you pry them open, you get this. You kind of tear up the protective cover, and that's not exactly a good thing, because the negative is the outside and the positive is only this little tip right here, so you can accidentally short it if this is torn. So let's get to this. As I said, you could pry this open if you don't have a Dremel tool. In this case, there's a seam that runs around the edge, and but this stuff is all glued together, and then the batteries are glued inside of it, making it a little difficult to get them out. I don't know if this battery is any good. Doesn't matter, even if you have one of these and it won't charge anymore. There could be a couple of reasons for that. It could be that the circuit board that controls the battery charging, which is all built into the battery, could be dead, or it could be that one or more of these cells has gone too low and it just won't charge it anymore. So let's because of the shape of these, they're round. We don't want to go in the middle, because I don't want to take a chance of cutting into it. So what I'm going to do is cut along this square, this edge, so that we can use that as a guide. And we'll see how well this turns out. So this is going to be a little noisy, and I'm going to speed it up. Let's see how much this got us. Once again, you kind of want to avoid jabbing into the see, it looks like I actually cut into one of the batteries a little bit. It's a lovely smell, that burnt plastic smell. Oh, another reason you don't want to cut into the battery is if you cut through it, it could explode. The lithium doesn't like being exposed to the air. Come on. So there's 3 sets of the batteries. These batteries are in here in parallel and series. 2 batteries in parallel joined in series, and you can see I did cut through the plastic on this one. If you do cut through the plastic, it's not the end of the world. It's just you have to cover it up with tape or something. And you do want to be a little careful about what you touch in here, because even if these batteries, the battery reports to the OS that it's discharged, it could be charged enough that they could short and melt something. Yeah, the thunder's getting louder. Alright, so that went a whole lot better and easier than when I tried to do it with just a pair of pliers and a screwdriver. You can see here the circuitry that controls charging the batteries. I believe this uses cell balancing. So you charge these batteries properly. You don't want to, if you don't use cell balancing, one battery or set of batteries will be higher voltage than the other ones, and when they discharge, that could mean that one of the batteries might discharge too low, and usually they don't want to be discharged anywhere below like 2.75 volts. Now, when you go to separate these batteries and remove them from this, you'll see that they're joined together, and you'll want to clip the You'll want to clip and remove any of these balancing wires. So we want to get this circuitry removed from here before anything shorts out. And then want to separate these batteries. Because most people don't realize that lithium-ion batteries are practically bombs, and hope I don't get strike or something for saying that word on here, you know. So now they need to be separated, and it's been my experience that you want to separate the negative side first. You can tell the negative side The positive side has an indentation and a kind of a flat nipple, while the negative side is completely flat. I have found that if you try to separate the positive side in the process of cutting this strip, you may go into the plastic and short it out, and you'll get a spark. If you get that spark for too long, then you can short the battery out, and or it could burst. So the best way to do this, is to separate the negative side and then carefully separate the positives. Now, I'm not going to do every one of these on camera. The next thing you want to do, and we'll zoom in for this, is you want to remove this spot welded tab, and the best way to do that is get a pair of dikes or flush cutters. Just grab a hold of this and peel, and then do the other side the same way. The problem with that is you'll be left with these razor sharp edges, and what you do is take your flush cutter and cut those down. If you want to be really clean and neat with them, you can take a Dremel tool with a sanding disc and sand them smooth. For most of what you'll probably be doing, this will be more than adequate. So do these two. Peel it off. Peel it off and trim. Now what we're going to do is we're going to check the voltage. If the voltage is too low, below say 2.7 volts, these may not come back. So let's go to DC 10 volts, and let's zoom out. And this one is kind of low. It reads about, looks like it's just about 2.7 volts on this. It's hard to tell with the analog. This one, 2.75-ish. So these are really low. When you have batteries that are really low and you go to charge them, I recommend keeping an eye on them. Do not leave them unattended. And you want to check them after they've been on the charger for about half an hour to an hour, because if they're getting hot, they may not be charging. This one is one I pulled out from another laptop, and let's see the voltage on it. And it's a little over 3 volts. It's about 3.3, which is good. This one is 2.246, just 2.75-ish. So that's according to the data sheet, which I pulled up. All you have to do is Google the name or the identification on here, the ICR 18650-28A, and you'll find a Samsung data sheet on these. Nominal capacity for 2800 milliamps, 2.7, or nominal capacity for these is 2800 milliamps. Minimum capacity is 2700 milliamp hours. Minimum voltage 2.75, so that means they're discharged. Charging voltage, oh, this is interesting. This says 4.3. Most of the other ones I've seen say 4.2. Standard charge 1400 milliamps, which is about 0.5 C, so it's half the milliamp hours, and it should charge in 3 hours. Maximum discharge current is 1.5 C at 5600 milliamp hours. So these are quite useful, and you can get the battery holders as you saw in my previous video. Another thing you can get are what they call protected cells. Don't normally find those in devices, but this is a protected cell. This is a NCR this one has a capacity of about 3400 milliamp hours, and if you notice, it's longer than the normal 18650. These would actually probably be more like 18700s. Also, I ordered these with a smaller nipple that sticks out a little bit more. The reason for that is that I have some devices that use these, but they don't work well with these flush batteries. Anyways, what a protected cell is, there's a circuit board on the base of the cell that prevents this from being overcharged or undercharged, or discharged, over-discharged or overcharged. And that's a kind of a good thing if you don't have circuitry in whatever device you have to stop this thing, because what it'll do is it'll turn off the battery when it gets to a certain voltage, and it won't allow it to be discharged any more than that, and that preserves the battery and makes it last longer. So I think that's it on this one. That's it.